And now it's time for the BAQA. Hey, the
Mm.
BAQA. Hey, the
Mm.
BAQA. Brown
Hey, y'all.
Ambition, question and answer. Y'all have questions. We have answers that cannot be taken as legal advice.
Lowercase a answers. We have ideas and thoughts, and you
Yes.
cannot sue us for any of them.
Yes, because
We've
you got to ask your
decided.
peoples, the peoples that you give money to, the financial
Mhm.
advisor in them, your attorney, your
Yeah.
doctor, your lawyer, whomever. But certainly take what we say with a grain of salt. We're just two smart girls, two smart brown girls on the internet, just giving our thoughts. So, but it's not a
Given our
substitute for legal
thoughts.
advice.
Yeah, absolutely not. Although this first one, I feel like you could be a certified credit expert. I mean, this is like you could probably give this kind of advice in your sleep. But this comes from listener Regina, who had a question about credit scores. Regina says, "Good evening. I'm an avid listener of your show. I am learning how my credit scores for Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax are significantly higher than my FICO score. How do I better my FICO score since it's used to measure so many important things? Please advise when you can. Thank you so much, Regina."
Well, first you have to just understand that there's 5 components to your credit score. Actually, I had to pull this up because my granny old mine can never remember the percentages except for the first 2. So 35% is amount. No, 35%. Sorry, is payment history. So that's the biggest. Meaning, do you pay them people, Regina, on time, Regina? Meaning, they just want to know, like, are you a regular on time payment person? And one of the ways you can offset that, Regina, is to automate as many bills as possible, so you don't forget and you're not late. I was late again this week for something I totally forgot. My credit score is just going to look like I don't know what I'm doing because there's a credit card that I never use unless I travel. And then I swiped it when I was overseas and I forgot because I never use it. So I don't have automatic payment on it. And I forgot. So down goes my score temporarily. So payment history, 35% automate payments to affect that part of your FICO score. 30% of your FICO score is amounts owed, often referred to too as utilization. That means how much could you borrow versus how much you actually borrowed. They basically want to look at your limits versus your balances. So if you have $100 limit credit card, ideally you want to keep the balance under $30, under 30%. So they look at each individual card, but also cumulatively at your cards. So the average. So if you've got one card that you've got $100 limit on, and another card that you have $100 limit on, and one you're not using at all, and one you're using, say, like $100 balance on. So this card you're maxed out. This one you're not using at all. If you close the not used card, you went from 50% utilization because you're only using half the money that you have available to 100% utilization, which is going to bring your score down, 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 down,
Mm.
down, down, down. So keep your utilization low. Basically, pay off your debt. Okay. 15% is length of credit history. You just got to live a little longer and keep your older cards open. Like if you have one old card, that's what I like to just keep one old card open. 10% is new credit, also called inquiries. That just means the next time you go to Marshall's, don't let them people run your credit just to see if you can save 10% on that sweater.
And
An
home
inquiry
goods.
is anybody other than you who looks into your credit and it brings down your score. And then last is credit mix. They just like to see a mix that you have some like installment loans, like student loans, car note, blah, 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 and also revolving debt, like credit card debt. They just like to see you have experience. You don't have to do anything there. Just live longer. And as an adult, you have more of that. So ultimately, you want to pay down debt and you want to be on time. But here's a little trick that I found out how you can trick the credit scoring system in a way that's super legal. I call it my jump like Jordan method because I'm 42. So Jordan was the LeBron of the day. Actually, let me not even say that. Jordan was the Jordan child. So here's what you do. You go to your cheapest bill. For me, it was my gym membership that I was never using at what's that place? The gym membership's only $10, Mandy.
Planet Fitness.
Yes, Planet Fitness, that $9.99 gym membership that don't nobody ever use. So I had that membership, and normally that membership was just pulling the money directly from my bank account. But I put a credit card that I had a zero balance on in between. I said Planet Fitness, charge this card, and then I said bank account, automatically pay off the card every month. Something magical happens when you pay off a debt in full every month. The amount doesn't matter. It's the habit of paying off. They like to see that's that payment history. You paid off a debt, even if it's $5, 500, 5,000, 5,000,000, ideally $5. So you create that automatic loop, and you will start to see your credit score start to jump like Jordan, because your credit score is your GPA. It is an average of your grades of how you handle your money. So every time you pay off your card in full, even if it's only $5, you get an A. So the more A's you get, the more it will offset any of the bad grades you got in the past. So if you do that, Regina, girl, you should be fine.
I keep thinking Regina George. You know what? I was wondering about her question too. With FICO, there's like a billion different FICO scores. So I'm
Yes.
wondering which FICO score she may be referring to here, because I mean, the FICO company or whatever, like they sell their scores to lenders as a way
Yes.
of like figuring out if borrowers, are trustworthy or which interest rate to give them and all of that. There's auto FICO scores.
Yes.
I mean, obviously we all know FICO is like the main score used for mortgage lending, but there's an auto version of your score. I was just looking it up. There's versions of your score for
Just like FICO 8, FICO 9,
bank
FICO 10.
cards.
Yes.
Yeah, like right now, auto score bank cards, score 10T, score 10, score 9, score 8.
Mm-hmm.
Score 8, I guess, is this article says there's 16 distinct versions of the FICO score used by creditors.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Experian itself. And if you're using, those like credit score estimate apps,
Yeah.
like you mentioned one called Score Sense in your question. Also, there's like Credit Karma,
Yeah.
Credit Sesame.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably more that I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And those are estimates, and if there's significant differences between each, like I don't know, how can I define significant, like 25 points or more,
Mm-hmm.
maybe
25,
even
30
like
points.
50
Mm-hmm.
points or more,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe there's something amiss with one of your like credit reports, and it's
Yeah.
good to keep tabs on all three of your credit reports that you get from the three different bureaus. That could explain why maybe one of your scores is a little bit different. Like, for example, if Credit Sesame is pulling your score from a certain credit bureau and
Mm-hmm.
Credit Karma is pulling it from another one, and they're very different, then I would check the one that's different and see if something on your report that they're pulling it from there's an error or something hasn't fallen off quite yet. But yeah, just keep that in mind. And, at the end of the day, if they're like close enough to one another, I wouldn't stress out. I
Yeah.
feel like too much about it, like obsess over them, every single one matching. So I think
Because
that's
they're never
probably impossible
it's
to do.
never all gonna match. And the truth is, I have been like,
Mm-mm.
a 50-point difference between my experience versus my Equifax versus because the reason why there are numbered FICO scores like 8, 9, 10, 12 is that some of those scores have a heavier leaning on different types of debt and activity than other scores don't. So like the auto loan people might want to know, well, I want to see how much debt they have in installment loans, because auto payments tend to be installment loans. So I want this type of FICO score. And the credit card people are like, well, we want to see like a FICO score that leans heavily on revolving debt, because we're revolving debt, because credit cards are revolving debt. So ultimately, your job is not to know all the nuance. It's just to have a decent score in general, and you should be fine across the board. I don't worry about my score. Like, honestly, I'm probably going to drop like 30 stinking points for forgetting to make that payment. But what do I care?
Can't you just call them and get them to like not? How delinquent is it? Because I feel
No, it
like they
wasn't. I'm
won't
gonna
move.
probably call Bank of America and just say, "Oh, girl, I forgot." And I never forget because I don't use the card. But you're right. I could probably call them and say, "You didn't report it, did you?" Because they didn't say. I just logged on randomly. No, I got an email. Bank of America was like, "Girl, make a payment." I'm like, "A payment?" And if my
Yeah.
first instinct was, "Someone stole my card," I was like, "Oh, that's right. That was me and Jordan." So when I went to make a payment, it was like, "Girl, you're late," and I was like, "Damn." So you're right. I probably will call Bank
Yeah.
of America and be like, "Don't tell on me." But the truth is, I don't worry about my credit score, like for real, unless I'm like, I think to myself in the future, I need to borrow something, because that's the purpose of it. Your credit score is so you can qualify to borrow something at a good rate. I don't like the car I have is paid off. I don't have a mortgage. And so I'm not going to be renting an apartment anytime soon. But certainly you want to keep a decent credit score just in case. But I wouldn't stress so much over it, and just continue to collect good quote unquote grades to offset that credit GPA, your score. So the more A's you can get. When my score fell significantly in my 20s, I actually did that with 2 cards where I paid it off every month in full. And that really helped to expedite bringing my score up. So good luck to you, Regina.